Shedeur Sanders' speeding ticket controversy has taken the media by storm. What started as a wave of criticism and backlash has now taken a surprising turn. Just days ago, headlines were filled with outrage, calling Shedeur reckless and irresponsible for his actions. But now, the tide is shifting. Supporters are stepping in, and one of the most vocal defenders is none other than former NFL star Asante Samuel. In a bold and unapologetic message, Samuel urged everyone to stop the trash talk and think twice before tearing down a young athlete over a single mistake. He reminded the public that Shedeur is more than just a headline. He's a talented quarterback under pressure, growing under the spotlight, and learning in real time.
He's talking about overall in life. You know, I made some wrong choices personally, and I got owned up to him. I made some, not great choices.
He's saying that because he's a thunderable person.
I learned
from the real people.
I learned.
It's not. He don't be doing that.
I learned.
Shedeur himself has stepped up and addressed the situation with a level of maturity that not everyone expected. In a video posted just yesterday, he opened up about the incident, acknowledging that yes, he was ticketed, and yes, it was a mistake. But he didn't dodge responsibility. Instead, he owned it completely. He admitted that he's a young man who made a bad decision, and he's ready to face the consequences and learn from it. What stood out most was his honesty. Shedeur didn't try to paint himself as perfect. In fact, he even referenced past mistakes, making it clear that while he's not flawless, he's far from being a bad guy. But some people were not ready to forgive him, and Mary Kay Cabot was one of them. Cabot didn't waste a second to highlight Shedeur's off-field misstep. Rather than offering any perspective or balance, she seized the moment to reinforce her ongoing narrative against him. Instead of viewing the situation as a young athlete learning through a mistake, she zeroed in on the timing, 12:45 a.m., as if that alone defined his character or commitment. With her usual sharp tone, she questioned what Shedeur was doing out that late, suggesting that such behavior during a critical period in his development could threaten his standing on the roster. Cabot framed it as a red flag, implying that while the competition heats up and coaches demand total discipline, Shedeur's choices put him on thin ice. But here's the thing, her remarks didn't come from a place of mentorship or concern. They echoed a pattern, one where every minor error is magnified and every flaw is treated as confirmation bias.
But speeding is one thing, but going 40 miles an hour over the speed limit, actually 41 miles an hour over the speed limit at 12:30 in the morning, when you're in the middle of a four-way quarterback competition.
On the other hand, this speeding ticket had little to no impact on Shedeur Sanders' supporters and fan base. While critics were busy dissecting the incident, those who truly admire him showed nothing but love and loyalty. Just a day later, Shedeur was seen at David Njoku's celebrity softball game, smiling, relaxed, and clearly unbothered by the noise. Fans gathered around him, taking photos, chatting, and cheering him on like nothing had changed. There was no tension, no judgment, just genuine support. For them, this wasn't a scandal worth outrage. It was a young man making a common mistake and owning up to it.
Just days after being cited for driving 101 miles per hour in Ohio, Shedeur Sanders was all smiles on the softball field. At David Njoku's celebrity softball game, the Browns rookie QB showed up to entertain, not to dwell on legal issues. Fans in the stands made it clear they still believe in him. One young supporter yelled, "Your QB won. They won." And Sanders took that energy straight to the plate, confidently swinging like he belonged there.
He wasn't alone at the event either. Shedeur was seen alongside NFL names like Jerry Jeudy, Joe Flacco, and David Njoku himself. Surrounded by established pros, joking around and sharing the field, it was clear that the speeding ticket hadn't shaken his image among his peers either. If anything, it showed the exact opposite. There was no awkwardness, no tension, just a young athlete being embraced and treated as an equal. That kind of presence speaks volumes. It shows that this small incident had absolutely no real impact on Shedeur Sanders' standing, neither in the eyes of the public nor among the professional athletes he's building connections with. Despite all the media noise, Shedeur continues to carry himself with confidence, grace, and accountability.
Shedeur Sanders.
You gotta kill me one, bro. You have to kill me one. Nobody else can kill me one. Fuck you.
Sanders drawing fanfare from those in the stands and those on the field.
He gonna be the greatest. Remember I said it. I'm telling you.
For a few innings, it wasn't about speeding tickets or court dates. It was just fun fans.
McCoy then shifted the conversation to a deeper and more troubling issue, one that goes far beyond a single speeding ticket. He highlighted a disturbing pattern. When critics can't find fault in Shedeur Sanders' on-field performance, they start digging into his personal life to find something, anything, to use against him. It's no longer about stats, leadership, or football IQ. It's about creating a narrative that questions his character. This is how they'll shape the narrative, McCoy said. They'll say things like, he can't lead a team with this kind of attitude, because they know they can't say anything about the way he plays. And McCoy isn't wrong. Shedeur's numbers, poise, and growth as a quarterback speak for themselves. But instead of giving credit where it's due, detractors look for moments, like a late-night ticket, to try and paint a broader, damaging picture.
They're going to find a way to make this about football, right? And instead of talking how good he's playing in OTAs, how he's playing so well that as a fifth rounder, we talking about, hey, let's split some of these reps up with the ones. Yeah. We're not going to talk about that. Oh, he's immature. How can he lead a team if he's driving? They're going to find a way to make an excuse for Shedeur, and I hate that.
Emmanuel H.O. also backed LeSean McCoy's stance, reinforcing the idea that while Shedeur Sanders did make a mistake, the outrage surrounding it has been blown way out of proportion. Speaking on his show, H.O. didn't sugarcoat the issue. He acknowledged that driving at 100 miles per hour is dangerous, irresponsible, and not something to take lightly, especially when you're a high-profile athlete with eyes constantly watching. But at the same time, H.O. challenged the media and critics who took this incident and tried to spin it into a deeper indictment of Shedeur's character. H.O. also took a moment to reflect on his own journey, openly admitting that when he was Shedeur's age, he made more than a few questionable decisions himself, just like most 22-year-olds. He reminded viewers that growing up under the microscope isn't easy, and expecting perfection from young athletes is both unrealistic and unfair. He pushed back hard against the notion that just because a player signs a contract or wears a jersey, they suddenly have to become flawless role models. That kind of pressure, he argued, ignores the human side of these athletes. For H.O., signing a 22-year-old like Shedeur Sanders means accepting the full package, not just the elite arm strength and highlight plays, but also the mistakes, the learning moments, and the maturity that takes time to develop. He argued that teams draft young players for their talent, athleticism, and ability to perform under pressure. And yes, Shedeur checks all those boxes. But maturity, emotional growth, and learning from mistakes? That's a process, and this moment is part of it.
Now, you also sign up for the athleticism. You sign up for the fact that they probably won't get hurt as often. You sign up for they don't have to stretch or sit in the sauna before they go out to practice. They can just get up and go. You sign up for that spry youth as well, but that's why they say, youth is wasted on the young.
In the midst of the backlash, it's been voices like Asante Samuel, LeSean McCoy, Emmanuel Acho, and James Jones that have brought clarity and fairness to the conversation. Each of them stood up against the harsh, exaggerated criticism led by Mary Kay Cabot, who tried to use one late-night mistake to question Shedeur Sanders' character and commitment. Unlike Cabot, these former athletes and analysts understand the pressures young players face and recognize that growth comes with occasional missteps. They didn't excuse Shedeur's actions, they simply refused to let one moment define him. And they're absolutely right. A speeding ticket doesn't erase his leadership, talent, or integrity. Instead of tearing down a young man who's taken full accountability, we should be acknowledging his maturity and giving him room to grow. The ones standing with Shedeur aren't just defending him, they're defending fairness, perspective, and the right to learn from mistakes. What do you think? Are we being too quick to judge young athletes like Shedeur Sanders for every misstep they make off the field? Should one speeding ticket really outweigh the years of discipline, talent, and leadership he's already shown? Do you believe critics like Mary Kay Cabot are genuinely concerned about his development, or are they just fueling a negative narrative? And most importantly, When seasoned voices like Asante Samuel, LaShawn McCoy, and Emmanuel Acho step up to defend him, should we start questioning the fairness of the media's lens rather than the player himself?